Hey everybody, did you know you can go to colinmullen.com where I can annoy you with going to my website colinmullen.com? It's a website where you can get art for your walls and other places I've discussed previously in the past. colinmullen.com. Hey everybody, so I screwed up my back the other day at work, and it's meant that I can't really paint, or I can, but my quality is not really where I want it to be. It kind of hurts to turn back and forth between the canvas and the palette, so rather than giving you guys a subpar video, I figured why not I just give you a video that I was going to release a while out. I was going to release this while I'm on vacation visiting Tilda's folks. So this video is a list of 4 books that I think everyone who's an artist should read. There will be referral links, obviously, down in the description below, so you can go and get them if you'd like. But the first book I actually don't own a physical copy of, and that is because I actually have only listened to it on YouTube via LibriVox. I guess you could get it through Audible. This is where I would want to chill Audible, I guess. Do that though, so I'm not gonna. Anyway, it's free on YouTube, and I'll link it at the end of this video. It's called Concerning the Spiritual in Art by Wassily Kandinsky. Pretty sure I butchered his name there, but the point is he was a hugely influential artist when he was alive, when he was doing his thing, and I don't really care for his work, but I really like this book because he explains what he's doing with his art and why he's doing it. Now, all this being said, I feel like if you understand German, it's probably best to read it in its original German. The translation does its best, but there's a lot of nuance, and I can tell that I'm probably missing some stuff by not knowing German. So if you are fluent in German, read the original. Don't read the English translation, obviously. He's definitely trying to plug every single possible hole in his own logic and his own description of how art should work. Even if you don't particularly care for his work, I think it's worth reading, because I spoke about it in my 4 things that every artist should, have in order to be a good artist, and the spiritual element that Kandinsky has is what I'm referring to. He knows why he's doing art, and he knows what he's doing art for and how it should look in his eyes. You may disagree with him, but I think that's a good way to start your own thesis. Why do you disagree with him, and what do you think you could improve on? Or do you agree with him, and can you follow in his footsteps and maybe do something else? I agree with him on a lot of points, but I disagree with him on how that ends up looking. So, check it out. Like I said, I will link the video I've been listening to at the end of this video. It's a pretty good read. The next book is called, Do You Have Depression? Would you like to gain depression? Well, it comes in book form now. It's called The $12 Million Shark, and it's by Don Thompson, and it is everything you need to know about the fine art world as it stands right now, which means it's a horrible place. And if you want to be an artist, wow, that blows out the image, doesn't it? The lighting on this is super wonk. Sorry about that. But it gives a good description of what the fine art world is like. It's not just, you sell art and everyone gathers around and they're like, oh, you're great. No, it's more like selling stocks and bonds, and it's kind of gross. So if you're considering going the fine art route, if you want to be one of those guys that's in a gallery, or a gal who's in a gallery, or whatever, $12 million stuffed shark. Learn about how horrible it is real quick. It was one of the meanest things that I feel like they did to me during art school, was wait until the last semester when they're like, oh, you got to do this to get into galleries. You got to do that. You got do all these things. And then they're like, oh, but this is what the galleries are like. And it's just like, come on now. So go ahead and give it a read. It's super depressing. There are other routes other than the fine art route. For instance, you could make a YouTube series where you talk about your opinions on art. Anyway, the next book I feel like is not for everyone. It's the number 2 book on this list, though, and that is because it is Making Comics by Scott McCloud. This is a book explicitly for people who want to do webcomics or traditional comics for whatever reason. It is about how to lay out a comic in a way that makes sense to human eyes, and it helps you with speech bubbles, and it helps you with flow and pacing, and how to do all those basic things that you see in comics, read in comics, and go, you don't even think about, but it makes the reading of it so much easier. And the best part is, he doesn't just tell you, it's not just like walls of text, like it's just pictures. It's a comic book. He's telling you how to make a comic book as a comic book. That's like the most sensical thing I've ever heard. Like, so when he's telling you to do a thing, he's not even just telling you about it, he's showing you an example by telling you about it. It's super cool and a really good read. Obviously not an audiobook, but you know, it's mostly pictures, so it's not too bad. Kind of thick, but again, it's mostly pictures, so it's not bad. This last book, where as I said, the last two are, you know, maybe everything else on this list is more situational on whether or not it's something you need as an artist. This is a great book. It is Taking the Leap, Building a Career as a Visual Artist by Kay Lang. Amazing. I feel like everyone who does art needs to read this book because it tells you everything you need to know about how to do art stuff outside of doing the art stuff. So like how to build a website, how to copyright your work, how to do all those little fiddly things that you don't know how to do, but definitely need to know how to do. Like, how high up a wall should you hang a painting? That's too high, but I'm tall and this is my apartment, so I don't care. I do what I want. But it tells you how to photograph art. It tells you how to do a lot of things that are super important to being an artist that have nothing to do with art explicitly. So I recommend it as a read just because it is really good as a reference. I don't think I've ever actually read it front to cover. I usually just pick out a section that I need. For instance, when I was making my website, I pulled this book up and ended up doing it through there. Recommend doing that as well. I guess this is where I'm supposed to shill. What is the one everyone always shills? I don't know why I don't use it. I use Wix. Wix, hit me up if you want me to like talk about how cool your website is, your service. Anyway, but yeah, it's super easy to use. But if you want to learn everything else there is about art and how to make connections, how to do everything else, it's a good book. It's more of a reference than something you'd sit down and read. But I feel like combined, all four of these books will give you a really strong, it kind of hits all 4 points of that 4 things that every artist should have that I made. I don't know why I always make lists in 4 on this channel. It's weird. But that is the list of books. Like I said, referral links down in the description if you want to go and buy them. I will have a link to the audiobook for Concerning the Spiritual and Art at the end of this video. But before I forget, I need to thank the patrons. So I started a Patreon recently, and normally this is where I would link it on the screen, but I can't because YouTube won't let you do that until you're monetized. So instead, you'll have to check the description for that. Anyway, thank you to the following people who are on the $5 or more tier. Flenixia Theroran. I'm pretty much sure I butchered your name there. Thank you to Tilda. You didn't have to do that. TBG Karu. Very kind of you. Thank you, Gray, for being at the $10 tier. Thank you, Mafia, for being an awesome dude and always supporting me. And thank you, Rebecca. Oh, jeez. Onsma. I completely butchered that. But if you want to hear me butcher your name, head over onto Patreon and check it out. See if there's anything on there that you would like. And I will see you guys in a couple weeks for the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you then. Goodbye.